Hello everyone, my name's Icini. How's it going? Let me know. Welcome to the Beginner's Guide. This is made by the same person who did Stanley Parable. It has no traditional goals, objectives, or even mechanics. It's telling a story about a guy who doesn't understand something. What that is to be understood, don't know. Well, let's jump into the game and see what happens.
Hi there. Thank you very much for playing the Beginner's Guide.
You're welcome.
My name is Davey Reedon. I wrote the Stanley Parable, and while that game tells a pretty absurd story, today
Yes.
I'm going to tell you about a series of events that happened between 2008 and 2011.
Interesting.
We're going to look at the games made by a friend of mine named Coda. Now, these games mean a lot to me. I met Coda in early 2009 at a time when I was really struggling with some personal stuff, and his work pointed me in a very powerful direction. I found it to be a good reference point for the kinds of creative works that I wanted to make. So just to start you off, this is, I think, the first game he ever made. It's a level for Counter-Strike. You can walk around here, by the way. And mostly it's just Coda learning the basics of building a 3D environment. But what I like is that even though he starts from the simple aesthetic of a desert town, he then scatters these colorful abstract blobs and impossible floating crates around the level. And of course, it destroys the illusion that this actually is a desert town, and instead this level becomes a kind of calling card from its creator. It's like a reminder that this video game was constructed by a real person. And it kind of makes you wonder, what was going through his head as he was building this? This is what I like about all of Coda's games. I mean, not that they're all fascinating as games, but that they are all going to give us access to their creator. I want us to see past the games themselves. I want to get to know who this human being really is. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. So, it's 2008, Coda starts making these games, and he never releases any of them. He doesn't put them onto the internet, he just makes them and then immediately abandons them, and they sit on his computer forever. And I think he really understood this image of himself as a recluse. At one point, he jokingly renamed his computer's recycling bin to Important Games Folder. So, you know, this was just how he worked. He tended to crank them out one after the other without even really pausing to try to understand what he had just made, until suddenly one day, he just stopped. In 2011, that was it. He made his last game, and then he hasn't made another one since. And that's why I've taken this opportunity to gather all of his work together, is because I find his games powerful and interesting, and I'd like this collection to reach him, to maybe encourage him to start creating again. And if the people like you who play this also happen to find his work interesting, then I'm sure it'll just send that much stronger of a message of encouragement to Coda. So thanks for joining me on this. If you have a particular interpretation that I haven't mentioned here, or if you just need to get in touch, you can email me at daveywreden@gmail.com. Okay, that's about it for introduction. Let's take a look at Coda's first proper game.
That was
As
pretty
each
cool.
game is loading, I'll show you the date that it was completed. This first one was made in November 2008.
Alright, this looks pretty neat, totally white. Whoa!
Whisper machine active. Shift to structure image.
This is cool!
This game is called Escape from Whisper, and it's one of the more generic games you'll see from Coda.
Is there a reload? I don't think so. Whisper machine, status active. Whisper machine, interesting. I think that's supposed to be on fire or something. I'm thinking so. Well, this is really cool. I kind of like this game. Going to the hallways. This is seriously sensitive as well. How do I escape? Oh, Jesus. All of these tunnels lead every which way. Oh. I can't go down into these, can I? No, it doesn't seem I could. Can't. Alright, let's make our way back. This way, I think? Yes!
Security call breached. Hostile alien life forms inbound.
Is someone gonna start shooting me?
It
Can't
kind
go
of
in
looks
there.
like this game was abandoned mid-development. For instance, you have this gun, which you'd think would indicate that there are supposed to be monsters or enemies somewhere, but then clearly there are no enemies anywhere. You can't even reload the gun when you run out of bullets.
Yeah, I noticed.
But ultimately, we don't really know. Maybe Coda thought that actually it was complete the way that it is. And I think that we should talk about his games for what they are, rather than for what they're not.
Enemy force neutralized. Begin ship evacuation.
Oh, nice. This opened up. It is definitely important for developers
I love
to
how you
look
can
at a
see the
game.
bottom of the universe from this room.
Oh my god, you can. That is funny. Ha ha! What are these? I mean, it's very important to take a look at a game to what it is, to what it also could be, and to many directions as well. But this is, whoa, fucking
Apparently, the
confusing.
space station has a labyrinth on it. Sure, I don't know. There's really no reason for it that I've ever been able to discern, so in the interest of time, I'm just gonna skip you on past it.
Oh, thank you. That does help quite a lot.
Okay, this is the part that's interesting. The game has this narrative about the whisper machine and how it has to be turned off, and then you get to the engine room.
Is that the
Hey,
engine room? Is that the whisper
you there,
machine?
in the engine room. You could save us all. That beam is powering the whisper machine. We could disrupt it by introducing a great enough heat signature. If your body could stop the beam. It's so much to ask, but for all of our lives, would you do it? Could you give yourself?
I have to sacrifice myself to be able to save a bunch of people. Well, here we go!
Let me pause here for a second. What you just experienced, stepping into the beam and then dying, is probably what Coda had initially intended when he was developing this level. But when he first compiles and plays it, something goes wrong. There's a bug somewhere. And this is what happens instead.
I become outside the door again? Try it again. Oh! Oh! I'm floating. I'm floating in the
The
air.
beam causes you to start floating.
Well, I can see
And
the
this is an important
answer to
moment
the maze
for it.
now.
Because yes, this is technically a glitch, but Coda identifies something human about it. Like how small it makes you feel in the face of this larger chaotic system. Or this floating could be the afterlife, a peaceful place, juxtaposed against all of the hysteria that you've just had to traverse. I don't even know. I have no idea what he was thinking, but what's clear is that after making this, something lodges itself in his brain. He wants to do more of these really weird and experimental designs. So he stops work on this and moves on to a stream of tiny little games that go in all sorts of directions.
Corner of the universe.
Let's
is
go
right in the
ahead and
middle of
take a look at
screen.
the first game he made after leaving this one behind.
All right. Can I get down now? The past was behind her. Well, that's kind of cool.
Yep, in this game you can only walk backwards.
Are you fucking kidding me? Alright, well, let's take a look backwards. No, nothing seems to be over there. And this is the direction apparently we need to go. What the hell?
So it's a short and relatively minimalist experiment combining motion and narrative. It is less advanced than the previous game, but actually it seems to be more focused, more complete. Coda's trying to give it a unique voice rather than simply basing it on a pre-existing trope.
I guess when she stops and looks, it becomes clearer. Oh, there's a way down that way too. Go to explore. Wait. Oh no, that was the way I just came from. That's what it was. Am I going the right way? Yes, I am. This is really interesting. What did that say? Oh, I gotta go back. But if the future is always behind her, is there any more words on? Oh, how will she find the strength to confront it?
It's a short little thought, it says what it wants to say, and then it ends. Didn't need anything more than that. Which to me is why it works, because it gets out quick. Okay, next one.
I suppose. I can only see so far. Well, that's interesting. You are now entering. What am I entering? I need to know. This is really actually kind of cool, though. Oh,
And that's
shit.
it. Okay, the meaning of this game won't be clear just yet. Please be patient with me for a few more games, and I promise you'll see what makes it interesting.
I mean, these games are definitely interesting, but
Oftentimes, Coda would
Nonsense
put
is
bizarre
nearly
titles like
every
this one at
direction.
the start of his games. I wish I'd known him at the time that he was making these early games. He would really only talk to me about his work as he was making it. Once he stopped work on a game, like, that was it. It was dead to him. And I don't agree with that at all, but what are you gonna do?
is it getting more difficult to go up the stairs? I'm slowing
Once
down.
you've been slowed to an absolute crawl, the door at the top of the stairs opens. So why, if Coda's not showing these games to anyone, why bother opening the door at all? Well, to show you, I'm modifying the game here so that when you press enter, it'll bring you back up to full speed so you can enter the door for yourself.
Alright, enter it is. And what's in the door? This is cool. Stand on X. Whoa! What the hell? A button you could stop chaos.
A room that's warm and nice and filled with little ideas for games.
Ah! Game where you collect items, except the game automatically quits when you collect them all.
Coda would often tell me that he didn't mind if people thought of him as cold or distant. He said that he knew that he was actually a vibrant and compassionate person, but that it takes time to really see that. It can be a very slow climb to get there.
Standing on an X, staring at a beer for 3 hours. That's an idea for a game. That's kind of cool. Press U to surrender. That's kind of interesting. Ready, set, fish. Do I get a fish? That'd be kind of cool. Or am I going to trout? I could do either. This is really quite neat. Like, this is a game that I've never ever played before. I'm going to say
Well,
it is
this is
definitely
new
original.
for Coda. It's an actual puzzle. Go ahead and see if you can solve it.
Was that it? There's nothing around? How is this a puzzle? I don't see anything. Okay. Did I do something wrong?
Don't forget that solution,
Ah!
because we're going to see this puzzle again soon. We're going to
That
see
was
it a
kind of
lot.
neat. That was actually kind of neat indeed. I wish there's a sprint function in this.
So that seems to be it, right? You walk down a corridor, you solve the puzzle, you get to the end. Simple enough.
Yeah?
Alright, now I'm going to modify the game again so that when you press enter, it'll remove all of the walls from this room.
Okay, here we go. Whoa! Okay. Didn't see that coming.
How about that? There was more to it than we had any way of knowing. I actually find it funny that this game comes after the Stairs game, since they essentially convey the opposite idea. So, in the Stairs game, a dull exterior concealed a rich interior. And then, in this level, a dull interior hides this fantastic outer world. Either way, I think that the point is the same, is that most of the time you don't get to know what you're missing, or even that you're missing anything. That's not your role as a player.
It's true.
So if your role here is not to understand, then what is it?
I don't know, but that's one hell of a maze. So here we go. I'm gonna draw over Mr. Trump. We're gonna make him look real pretty, like. Oh, you look like a bit of a clown. I know a lot of people already do say you're a clown, but I suppose she's also less of a clown than Hillary. Kaboom! Holy shit! So awesome. I'm trying to stay above the surface.